Today is a very busy day for me. It's Wednesday, which means two-show day on Broadway. But what makes it very busy is that I'm going to see a Broadway show, and I'm taking you along.
New York, the wonderful town. The Bronx is up and the Battery down. The people riding over the ground. New York, New York.
So today, for a fun treat, I'm going to be seeing The Lost Boys. They have a matinee at 2 p.m. and if you know anything about me at this point, you might be thinking, wait, Karen, but you work on Broadway. Don't you have a 2 p.m. matinee? We're doing a 12:30 p.m. today, so I have time to catch a show, which is just so rare for me, but I'm excited to check this out. But I do have to go back to my theater for an 8 p.m. show tonight, so it's gonna be a very busy day for the theater. Not only working it, but seeing it. Here she is, boys. This is the newly renovated Palace Theater. That's where The Lost Boys is. This is the line so far. I mean, it doesn't look too bad from where I'm standing, but it is very, very long, and it's not yet 1:20 p.m. This is very high tech. Ooh, fancy. I think I go straight ahead. Okay, seat number 5, that's me. That's the view. This is a partial view, but that's not bad actually. Very cool. Ooh. No way was I gonna be a creep and film the bathrooms, but the women's room here, amazing. Like, they have signs that say vacant or occupied, and they're so big, spacious, and there's no gaping hole. There's no gap. Any of you been to the Royal Drury Lane Theatre in London? The design of this place reminds me of it. Very, very pretty. Intermission. Act 1 thoughts right now. So change of plans. This is my view right now. Hi everybody. I'm now in a box. It pays to know people who work in theater and be friends with them. Whoa. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. In all seriousness, my Act 1 thoughts so far. I really want to see Paddington again. I'm not gonna lie, that's all I could think about. I wish I could see Paddington again. That is the standard. That is the high bar that has been set when it comes to musicals. That's how I feel right now. Before I begin, I do want to preface this by saying this is all my opinion. Art is subjective. If I don't like something, that doesn't mean that you are also not going to like it, because it's very clear that the Lost Boys musical is polarizing in some way. There are people who are loving it and going back again and again, and there are people who hate it or just don't like it or don't get it. So yes, I have seen the big blockbuster musical of the Broadway season, The Lost Boys, which is based on the 1987 cult classic movie of the same name, directed by Joel Schumacher, that heralds quite a cast. Oh my God. Like, I saw Alex Winter at opening night for this musical, and I was like, that's weird. Why would Alex Winter be there? And then the next day, duh, Alex Winter was in the movie. He's one of the vampires. So this is your warning. There will be spoilers. So the story of the Lost Boys musical, which is also the story of the movie, is that two teenage boys named Michael and Sam, along with their mother Lucy, move to a beach town in California called Santa Carla. But it turns out all is not what it seems in Santa Carla because the place is run by vampires. The biggest changes from the movie to the musical that I can remember off the top of my head, the most important one being there is no grandpa. He's dead. He's in an urn. He does not exist. Grandpa, who is the father of the mother, aka Lucy, he was a minor character in the movie, but he has like one of the best lines ever of the movie, and also I think in pop culture cinema. So yeah, I can't tell when he passed away because like in this show there's a heavy emphasis on Lucy and the kids leaving Phoenix, Arizona because she's leaving her husband who is very, very abusive to her and the kids. She goes to Santa Carla, which is where she was born and raised, to live in her father's house, but he is no longer with us on earth. He has passed away. At what point? I don't know, but she has his urn. Did she like divorce her husband and then the dad died? I don't know. These are like the small plot points that unfortunately my brain focuses on that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But you know, when you're missing grandpa, I can't help thinking about it. The Lost Boys is one of my absolute favorite movies, especially from the 80s. I don't remember if the reason why the family moves to Santa Carla has to do with an abusive husband slash father, but it is a huge plot point in the show. Like it is heavily focused on. Another change is that the vampires are a rock band. If you don't know the movie, there is a very iconic scene where Michael and Sam, they're checking out the town for the first time. They end up on a beach and there's this band playing, and that's where Michael meets this young woman named Star for the first time. He sees her amid the crowd, and there is a sax guy. Do not worry, Lost Boy fans. Sax guy does get a nod in the show, and that was one of the very few times I actually laughed throughout that show. So instead of that, in order to establish this group of vampires, they are the band. So another thing that's majorly different from the movie and the musical is that the Frog Brothers are male and female. However, they still refer to themselves as the Frog Brothers. It's a joke. Other major differences is that the mom, aka Lucy, played by Shoshana Bean, whose voice is
so stunning.
It's incredible. She has more of a backbone. She has more of a presence in the Broadway musical, and I get it. Shoshana Bean and her voice, you want to showcase it as much as you can. And from what I've heard, that like she has so many songs to the show, they even cut some of the songs during previews, and I still think she has too many songs. I don't know, when you have a show called The Lost Boys, I feel like it was the Lucy show, you know? I don't know. There was just so much going on. I don't know. I just feel like this is something that should have been workshopped more, if it makes sense. They didn't do trial. Like, there's a thing that Broadway shows may do. Before they reach Broadway, they'll do out-of-town tryouts. This just went straight to Broadway, yo.
Hey, editing Karen here. Something that I forgot to mention is that I do think Act 1 is stronger, whereas Act 2, it's a clunker. And there are elements to Act 2 that I just don't understand. Dracula? Why do we have a bunch of Draculas around? It wasn't funny to me. I'm sorry.
Speaking of the music, so this has to do with my overall feelings towards Broadway and the direction they have been heading in for quite some time. And that is hiring these pop artists, musicians, bands that don't have a background in musical theater and getting them to write music for a musical. It's like all of those songwriters and lyricists of the days of yore at Broadway are thinning out. They don't exist, or they're not given the nurture that they need. So the music and lyrics are by a band called The Rescues. I believe they are a California band. So when I heard about this at first, I thought, oh, okay, you know, California sound. The story takes place at a beach town in California. Okay, maybe this will work. So many ballads though. So the song that the Lost Boys sang as a band, I think was one of the best songs in the show because they were writing for a band. There is a song by Lucy in Act 2 between Lucy and Max. Max is the owner slash manager of a video store on the boardwalk of the beach, and they meet and seemingly fall in love. But is Max all he's cracked up to be? I mean, if you know the movie, no. Plot twist, spoiler, he's a bad guy. So Lucy sings a song in Act 2 called Wild, and it's essentially a duet with her and Max. And I think in terms of musical theater songs, that is the best one. But if you ask me to like sing it or hum it to you, I don't know. I don't remember any of the songs, with exception to that band song. I don't know what it's called, but I remember one lyric, I'm knocking at your door. I don't know what comes next. There were so many ballads. The music just felt so empty and superficial to me, but like the talent on that stage is incredible. All of the cast members in that show, I do not want to put them down. Even if I didn't like the show, the talent on that stage is talenting. They are all incredible singers, every single one of them. I will give props to the Lost Boys that it is a spectacle on a technical like standpoint. It is incredible. That set is insane. It's clearly like a mega musical in that sense. I think there were 3 levels to the set, but if you think about like underneath the stage, it's probably 4 or 5 levels because things are definitely like rising up. People are falling down into holes. And when it comes to the lighting, it's absolutely beautiful. It's awesome. It like creates the atmosphere. It sets the tone for the atmosphere and it keeps it throughout. This show is definitely going to get some Tony Award nominations and it's definitely going to win some Tony Awards. I do not think that this is like a horrible show just because I didn't like it. I think I'm getting a little heated right now, so let's take a moment to look at my dog. Aww. She's sleeping. She's so cute. So just for fun, I decided to look up the reviews for the Lost Boy movie, and Roger Ebert stood out to me, if I can recall, because I'm filming on my phone and it's on my phone. He gave the movie 2.5 stars. He pretty much said that the movie was a spectacle. He thought the cinematography was great. The cast was great. The story itself was severely lacking, like very thin to him. So it's like all flash, no boom. And that's how I feel about this musical. Like it is absolutely a spectacle. And I think it'll do well because of that. But what Roger Ebert said about the movie is how I feel about the musical.
Nothing. I'm feeling nothing.
But the critics for this musical, it's like half very positive, half neutral. So nobody disliked it per se. They may have issues with it. I know, some people pointed out that like, yes, it is a spectacle. It has great talent, but the book is like, bleh. However, they enjoyed it enough to say, yeah, like go check it out for yourself. And again, it is not a bad show per se. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not something that I'm interested in. I was willing to give this show a chance, even though I am so tired of turning a movie into a musical. You can't do that with every single movie. This might be an unpopular opinion, but turning a movie into a musical, like itself, like that process doesn't bother me because, I grew up and I understood that it's the same thing as books or plays, but our form of media now in the 21st century is film and TV, which is why Schmigadoon. It was a TV show first, and now it's a Broadway musical. Funny enough, talk about meta right there. So I get it. Like, I'm not mad about like, oh, that's all Broadway is right now is turning movies into musical because like 50 years ago, they were turning books into musicals. It was the same thing. So I'm not bad about that. I think what they choose to turn into a musical, that's what I have an issue with. Like, not everything should be a musical, Just saying. The Peter Pan element that frustrates me, and I don't know if I can accurately explain what's going on in my mind regarding that because I'm just still mulling over things. But I will say that when I look at the movie, when I watch the movie and understanding that, the parallels to Peter Pan, Max, aka the head vampire, the head villain, he was always Peter Pan to me. I felt like this musical made him Captain Hook, which doesn't make sense. I'm going to feel like an idiot that I have to explain this, but in Peter Pan, they bring Wendy, Michael, and John over to Neverland. I mean, Peter and Tinkerbell. And you know, the Lost Boys realize, oh, I've never had a woman here before. Mother, I miss my mother. They want that nurture. They want that family. They want that connection. They want Wendy to be their mother, but they still want to do whatever the hell they want to do. And in the Lost Boys musical, it starts with a TV that is playing a speech by Ronald Reagan, because again, it's 1987. We're setting the scene here. So Reagan is on the TV talking about the nuclear family, which was a huge, huge obsession with the Republican Party in the 80s. Gee, do things ever change? Oh my God, there's always something that they're obsessed with. And if that term doesn't mean anything to you, just go figure that I had to learn. Like, we extensively learned about nuclear families when I was in school, like in science class, especially. Very, very weird to think about in hindsight. So I think there was some propaganda happening there, come to think of it. Anyway, nuclear family, according to the Republicans, your dad and your mother in that order, father, mother in that order, and 2 kids. Like, that was the perfect nuclear family. You had the parents, you had 2 kids, and a dog, let's say. It's always a dog, never a cat. The point that Ronald Reagan makes in that clip that they show in the beginning carries into Max's character. And there is a moment where he takes Lucy out to dinner, and it's, to me, it read that he genuinely meant what he said, that, you know, boys today, they have no direction. Like, he very much talked like a conservative. He was dressed as a conservative. And if you've seen the movie, what a huge missed opportunity to not have this Max dressed like Ed Herman in the movie. I mean, come on, look at him. So Max in the musical, like, is obsessed with family, and family is a huge theme throughout this show. But for me, it didn't work when you think about the Peter Pan element. So the way that I looked at the movie, they wanted a mother because, you know, they need something, something's missing, but they still wanted to do whatever the hell they wanted. If Max in the musical is so obsessed with, like, structure of a family and boys being in line and having this male presence in their life, that doesn't make sense to the Lost Boys. You know what I mean? Am I thinking about this too much? Very likely. In a way, I do appreciate what they did with Shoshana Bean as Lucy, the mother, because in the movie, the character is played by Diane Wiest. Diane Wiest is a very petite woman. She always plays characters that are demure and sweet and looked at as fragile, you know, like you want to protect her. She is like that motherly energy, but like in a submissive way, which is why it like annoyingly works in the movie. In the musical, she is strong and she is independent. And that song Wild, that I can't even remember, but I do think is a good song for musical theater, like, it explains who she is, and like she has this wild independent spirit instead of grandpa, because grandpa doesn't exist in this musical. Buffy Summerings, Max the head vampire.
Did I get it?
It's Lucy who does it, because how dare he try to, you know, take over her family? How dare he try to attack them? She's mama bear, you know? So before that I saw this show, one of my coworkers was so certain that I would love it because, in his own words, and I quote, "Karen, no offense, but you have the taste of a 15-year-old girl." Well, joke's on you, buddy, because I did not like this. And honestly, if I did have to pick my favorite actor slash character in this show, it would actually be Paul Alexander Nolan as Max. Not gonna lie, he was doing something for me. So in conclusion, my opinion has no effect on this show. I think that they have a hit on their hands. It's very clear that they are experiencing the heated rivalry effect when it comes to fandom. Like, the fangirls are coming out for this show. When I was at my performance, the person behind me said it was her second time seeing the show. Like, people are coming back multiple times. It's that kind of show. I do hope this show has a decent run because it is giving a lot of people work. That's the thing. It's easy to forget about everybody who's involved in making a Broadway show happen, not only on that stage, but behind the stage, inside the house, as somebody who works that job. I do think it will be successful. I do think it's going to get some Tony nominations and some Tony wins. Listen, it's not my cup of tea, but the cool thing about Broadway is that there are many theaters. So if you don't like that show, maybe you'll like that show or this show. There are options. Oh, look who has joined us, little girl. Miss Gracie, do you have any words about the Lost Boys? You heard it here first. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Whether you have absolutely no idea what the hell I'm talking about, or you completely disagree with my opinion and want to drive a stake through my heart, if you have seen this show, let me know in the comments down below. What did you think? Or is this possibly a show that you want to see? Don't let my opinion deter you. All right, I'm done talking. See you on the next one. Bye. Say bye, Gracie.